Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to a $700 gaming PC build. Without further ado, let's just get right into this with the CPU. For the CPU, I went with the AMD FX 6300. It's a 3.5 GHz, 4.1 GHz turbo, socket AM3 plus, 95 watts. Now, I really wanted to try to fit an FX 8350 into the build, but that's about $200, and you really can't do that since I wanted to get a decent GPU, and I wanted to get some other stuff in the build, so I had to go with the FX 6300 instead of the 8350. But the 6300 is still a very capable CPU at $120. Keep in mind that that is the same price as the i3, so that just goes to show that the i3 is a dual core and the AMD FX 6300 is a 6-core. Now, I know you can't do a core-for-core comparison when you do CPU comparison like that, but that is kind of funny that the FX 6300 is actually cheaper than the i3, and the 6300 outperforms the i3 by a lot. So this CPU is a really damn good deal at $120, and it has a very high clock rate. And with it being 6 cores, it's actually fairly decent for video editing, live streaming, which I know a lot of people are getting into. I know games today only use 4 cores, but with the move to next generation and next generation hardware using 8-core CPUs, I believe it is. It's not the best 8-core CPU, but keep in mind it is 8-core CPUs. Developers are going to more and more utilize the 8-core technology, because you guys got to remember that developers have to squeeze these games down onto consoles, so they're really not being up to the par that they could be. But now with consoles having higher GPUs and higher CPUs in this case being more important, they will start utilizing these more cores in their CPUs. For the motherboard, I went a little bit high-end. I wanted to try something a little bit different, and since the budget allowed it, I went with the Asus M5A 99FX. This is $130 after a $20 mail-in rebate, and it has a lot of good features. You guys can crossfire, has 4 RAM slots, so you guys have upgradability options with your RAM, SATA 6 gigabit per second, USB 3, and UEFI BIOS. So really solid motherboard for around $130, and I really can't say anything bad about it. For the RAM, I went with G.Skill Ripjaws X Series 8GB, 2 4GB sticks running at 1866 speed. Now, this is $75, and if you guys are so eager to get 16GB of RAM, you guys can get that down the line, since the motherboard does have 4 RAM slots, so it will support 16GB of RAM with 4 DIMMs of each holding 4GB. I'm sure you guys can do math, so yeah, 8GB of RAM is perfectly fine right now. Even for things like video editing and live streaming, 8GB of RAM is still more than enough. Better to not get 16GB of RAM off the bat in a budget build like this, because down the line you guys can easily pick up another 2 4GB sticks and you'll have 16GB, but spending $130 just on RAM right off the bat is not the best decision. For the graphics card, I went with the MSI Radeon HD 7950. Now, you guys aren't going to believe how cheap this card has gotten. $220 after a mail-in rebate. Yeah, that is pretty ridiculous, and it's a fairly solid card. I mean, the 7950 is a competitor to the GTX 760, and they kind of go back and forth on how good each of them do. The 760 does better in some games, the 7950 does better in some games, but the 760 is about $40 more expensive. So this 7950 really coming down in price. I think sooner or later it's gonna go down that $200 mark. It's gonna be like that 7870 was that really go-to card for a mid-range build. I think the 7950 in a couple months might be that card. Right now it's $220, which is still a fairly decent deal. Unfortunately, no benefits like free games or anything, but hey, what can you do? Still a very, very good deal at $220. This also has 3GB of video buffer, so if you guys are gaming at higher resolutions, higher than 1080p being that, it is fairly decent. Again, a 7950 isn't that powerful to run games at 2560 by 1440, but if you're running less intensive games at that resolution, it can actually run them fairly decent. So keep that in mind. The 3GB of video buffer is something to consider when comparing the 760 and the 7950. For the power supply, I went with the Corsair TX 650, 650 watt power supply, 80 plus bronze certified. This is about $60 after a mail-in rebate, so this is going to power the build no problem. Unfortunately, you will not be able to go with a Crossfire configuration with this power supply. If you guys want to go for a Crossfire configuration in the future, I recommend a TX 750 or TX 850, whatever your budget allows. If you really do want a Crossfire in the future, then get one of those. But if you guys don't, which I usually don't recommend, what I recommend is to just sell the graphics card that you have and then buy another graphics card that would meet up to your expectations. So that's what I recommend. But yeah, the TX 650 is a fairly good power supply, especially it being 80 plus bronze certified, $60. Good deal all around. For the hard drive, no SSD in this build. I went with Western Digital WD Blue 1TB, 1TB hard drive. Like I've always said, if you guys already have a hard drive from a previous build, you can either skip this step entirely or pick up a 60GB SSD, which will just improve the load times of your PC. I personally like SSDs. I know some people have mixed feelings on them due to their pricing, but hey, if not, you guys can pick up a WD Blue for $65, and that's going to do the job fairly well. Finally, for the case, Cooler Master Series half 912. Now, this case has gotten a lot cheaper too. $40 after a mail-in rebate. It's $50, and then there's a $10 mail-in rebate. And this is a very good case. I actually picked mine up for $70 when I built my gaming PC about 6 months to a year ago, I want to say. And my PC is holding up fine, and, you know, this case is really awesome, and I highly recommend it, especially for budget end gamers, and it's really good. I'm not the kind of person to spend a lot of money on the case. I mean, I go for the interior, not the exterior, so that's just my personal beliefs, but hey, some people have different, you know, expectations and whatnot. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Remember to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.